Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Thursday, July 1st, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who joins us here, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever discovered in my 47 years of doing therapy, and these tools are gratefully available absolutely free on the website at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the link in the upper left-hand corner that says Start Here, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book provides a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for the past 17-plus years to improve the quality of my life and relationships and manage my emotions and effectively turn any negative emotional I experience into part of the infallible guidance system that each of us are gifted. You can also download the actual worksheet itself. It's a simple PDF file. You copy it, print it off, use it as often as you'd like. You can download a completely free and private app if you go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. And that app contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game. And now it includes the commitment tool as well. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one where people have been stepped through that process, the worksheet process, or they've given powerful testimonials about how the application of that process in their lives has resulted in tremendous benefit. And we hope people do that soon and often. Download the file, go to the App Store, download the app, read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book, because that frequently results in people having comments or questions, and that's what we're here for. We're welcoming your comments or questions. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And if you call that number and press 1, it'll put a little question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code. Alternatively, you can send Jeannie an email at jeanie@whyagain.org, and or you can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. We're also doing the Course in Miracles lessons from the workbook this year, and we are on the 182nd day of the year, which still others will maintain that what we speak of is illusion, not to be considered more than but a dream. Yet who, in simple honesty, without any defensiveness or self-deception, who would deny she understands the words we speak? We speak today for everyone who walks this world, for she is not alone. She is not at home. She goes uncertainly about in endless search, seeking in darkness what she cannot find, not recognizing what it is she seeks. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. She does not understand. She builds in vain. The home he seeks cannot be made by him. There is no substitute for heaven. All she ever made was hell. Perhaps you think your childhood home that you would find again. That childhood of your body and its place of shelter are a memory now, so distorted that you merely hold a picture of a past that never happened. Yet there is a capital C child in you who seeks his father's house and knows that she is alien here. This childhood is eternal with an innocence that will endure forever. Where this child shall go is holy ground. It is her holiness that lights up heaven and that brings to earth the pure reflection of the light above. Wherein the earth and heaven are joined as one. It is this child in you that your Father knows as his own offspring. It is this child who knows his Creator. His desires to go home so deeply, he desires to go home so deeply, so unceasingly, her voice cries unto you to let her rest a while. She does not ask for more than just a few instants of respite, just an interval in which she can return to breathe again the holy air that fills her Creator's house. You are his home as well. He will return, but give him just a little time to be himself within the peace that is his home, resting in silence and in peace and in love. This child needs your protection. She is far from home. She is so little that she seems easily shut out. Her tiny voice so readily obscured, her call for help almost unheard amid the grating sounds and harsh rasping noises of the world. Yet does she know that in you still abides her sure protection. You will fail her not. She will go home, and you along with her. This child is your defenselessness, your strength. She trusts in you. She came here because she knew you would not fail. She whispers of her name and her home unceasingly to you, for she would bring you back with him, her Creator, that he himself might stay and not return where she does not belong, and where she lives an outcast in a world of alien thoughts. Her patience has no limits. She will wait until you hear her gentle voice within you, calling you to let her go in peace along with you to where she is at home and you are with her. When you are still for an instant, when the world recedes from you, when valueless ideas cease to have value in your restless mind, then you will hear her voice. So poignantly she calls to you that you will not resist her any longer. In that instant, she will take you to her home, and you will stay with her in perfect stillness, silent and at peace, beyond all words, untouched by fear and doubt, sublimely certain that you are home. So rest with her today, for she is calling you to become a little child, that you might learn of her how strong she is, who comes without defenses, offering only love's messages to those who think she is their enemy. Christ is reborn as but a little child each time a wanderer would leave her home. For she must learn that what she would protect is but this child who comes defenseless and who is protected by defenselessness. Go home with her from time to time today. You are as much an alien here as she. Take the time today to lay aside your shield, which profits nothing, and lay down the spear and sword you raised against an enemy that does not exist. For Christ has called you a friend and brother. He has even come to ask your help in letting him go today, completed and completely. He has come as does a little child who must beseech his Father for protection and for love. He rules the universe, and yet he asks unceasingly that you return with him and take illusions of your gods no more. You have not lost your innocence. It is for this that you yearn. This is your heart's desire. This is the voice you hear, and this the call which cannot be denied. The Holy Child remains with you. Her home is yours. Today, she gives you her defenselessness, and you accept it in exchange for all the toys of battle that you have made. And now the way is open, and the journey has an end in sight at last. Be still an instant and go home with her. and be at peace a while. So that's our lesson for today in the commentary, and the Course in Miracles experiment lesson from Pam Grout is lesson 182 is titled On the Border. She quotes Bill Plotkin, who says, "The world invites us to stride through the unlocked gate into realms of greater promise and possibilities." Pam writes, "The operative words in lesson 182, I will be still an instant and go home. The operative words are still and instant. I am asked to leave behind my defenses for just a little while each day. No more is asked and no more is needed. That's why the numbers at the bottom of the page have vanished. It's not that I'm on my own. It's that I now know immediate assistance is as near as my next breath. But because this is a daily practice, and because every 24 hours has two distinct mystical periods, I like to play with the principles during what scientists call the hypnagogic state. It's that trippy little lull between wakefulness and sleep, when thoughts and images swirl, flutter, and transform into endless potential and possibility. And like I said, we all get two of these precious gifts every day. It's how Auguste Kekule, founder of organic chemistry, first envisioned the benzene ring, how Salvador Dali and Thomas Edison stimulated all those saucy new insights and inventions. It is the perfect gateway of consciousness to, quote, be still and go home. This twice daily kaleidoscopic state is an ongoing opportunity for guidance, inner peace, and wholeness. Miracles Workbook and Pam Grout's book, Course in Miracles Experiment. So we have 44 minutes left. How can we support you? What would you like to talk about today? What's a good topic that would serve you? (563-999-3581) is our call-in number. And we have plenty of time to entertain your comments or questions. There's another support group tonight, and take a deeper look inside. I get another little piece of the puzzle for myself, and I've had my own stirrings of issues in this past couple of weeks about relationships and honesty and ego and clashing egos and conflicting goals. And the only way that I know to get through it in a reasonable way is to push myself for deeper and deeper honesty, more profound, more willing honesty on my part. And the key factor that allows me to do that is what is in the Course in Miracles lesson today as the word defenselessness, where really what they're talking about in defenselessness is my perfect safety. When I rest in my perfect safety, when I feel, when I'm consciously in touch with and then act from my perfect safety, I don't attack, I don't create the illusion of attack, and I don't create a sense of a need to defend myself from anyone or anything. And then I get to explore. I was on a call yesterday morning with somebody, and about, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the most into the call, I had given a response to something, and one of the members on the call said, "So, Tim, do you have an emotional charge for this? Because I'm picking up, there's something in your words that's got an emotional charge." And this honesty that we're talking about, that is so necessary for my continued healthy relationship with others and personal growth, required me to stop, take a breath, and say, okay, here's a person who's got a perspective of me I don't have. And while I wasn't necessarily tuned into being triggered or having an emotional charge, this person picked it up. So I took a breath and asked myself, okay, what's going on? And I tried to listen to the tone of my words and feel what was going on with me. And sure enough, I had quite a bit of emotion going on. And so I just took a breath and I told them about what might be a whole set of factors influencing the energy that I had in the moment. And I'm not sure exactly what's what, and whether it's, because I'm thinking about the next call or the next level of this call or somebody else I have to deal with later in the day, but that I just acknowledge there's a lot going on for me. There's a lot that I have an emotional investment in about that call and about the project that call is focused on. And so we cleared the air and then we could move forward. But if I had any level of investment in seeming like I'm in control of myself and I'm not driven by an ego and I'm not emotionally compromised or whatever, if I have any level of investment in that, I can't respond with the level of honesty that will help me move forward. I will get defensive. And I will start the process of hiding from myself the very thing that's necessary for me to know myself and move forward in a healthy way. So that interview with young Pueblo is just one more where the theme of a new, deeper, more profound level of honesty is being presented again from yet another wonderful writer, poet, and so I can recommend it. It's it might trigger you or me, but it is good stuff. And that is from the podcast Tell Me Something True by Laura McGowan, who's the author of the book We Are the Luckiest, The Surprising Magic of a Sober Life. So, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. Ellen, hello?
By Byron Katie, called A Mind at Home with Itself. And I'm only about halfway through it, but at this point I feel like it's given me so much clarity that I didn't have before, and I feel like I feel like my mind is just opening further and further as I get into this book. And she gives you like a really clear picture of what true freedom is. And it's so beautiful. She talks a lot about being free of an identity. And I know for a lot of people that sounds like a really scary thing. And but when you think about what life would be like if you had no identity, obviously there would be no defensiveness because there would be nothing to defend. There would be no limitations. There would be no fear because there would be no one to have fear about, So, I mean, when you start thinking about it, or at least when I start thinking about it, I realize, wow, that really does seem to be like the ultimate freedom. And she talks about a lot about how well, this book, let me say it this way, this book, like A Thousand Names for Joy, it's actually that one, she was asked to talk about different verses from the Tao Te Ching. And this one, she talks about different verses from the Diamond Sutra, which I had never heard of. But it's where the Buddha is talking to like one of his students in that Diamond Sutra. And so she just comments on different parts of that. And over again, you know, the Buddha is saying that if your mind depends on anything it senses, anything it perceives, anything it thinks, then you're caught. You can't be free. And so the way that Byron Katie talks about it is this. I kind of like almost like I'm coming up with a new term for it, like free flow. Just because when the mind realizes itself, then it never even wants to land on anything, because then as soon as it lands on something, then there's a limitation there, a stuckness there. It's not continuing, it's free flow. And that is like such an appealing way of living in my mind. And I would like to read just how she describes it in this one little paragraph. Well, here she starts out talking about that the ultimate desire is the desire not to exist, which sounds crazy at a surface level. But she says, when the mind believes that it exists, it also believes that it can be annihilated. And she says, what silly opposites these are. The don't know mind doesn't name, doesn't fear, has no wish to control or foresee, steps off the cliff of the moment with absolute trust that the next step will land somewhere and the next step somewhere else, and the feet will take us wherever we need to go. Without believing in words, there can be nothing to fear. Fear is born only to words believed, and what believes those words is a concoction of prior words believed. Who started all this confusion? You did. Who can end it? Only you. And I started seeing like how, because I often think of that story of the prodigal son, and how it was really the mind. The mind left the father's house, and created an I. And this is how I'm seeing it. You know, when we think of like the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, that the Son is the I. And so the mind creates this I, and then it creates a world around that I, and it wanders off. It gets lost in that world. And the only way it can get back home to the Father's house is to retrace its steps, basically dissolving everything that it has created until there's no longer even an I. And I just saw this image of like the I, or the one, which is just like a straight vertical line, is the axis of the world. And the world revolves around the I. But it's all pure imagination. And if the I went still, like today's lesson asks us to do, what happens to the world? Just an interesting thought I've been thinking
for
about.
The mind, okay, for the mind that is basing its perception on those thoughts, the world disappears. And that is essentially my take on what the Course in Miracles is talking about when it says the world doesn't exist and the world will disappear, etc. It's the world that we've created with our words and our thoughts and our perceptions. It's not that the world the Creator created is going to disappear when we drop our thoughts. Clearly, because here you have somebody who ostensibly has dropped that investment in thought, and it has gone to that not knowing mind, Byron Katie and other great spiritual, and the world that the Creator created didn't cease to exist when they reached that stage of enlightenment or dropping of the thoughts or the investment in the thought. So for the mind that has created those thoughts and invested in it, what's going to happen when it lets go of it is sense of the world will disappear. But what Course in Miracles keeps saying is, then we will see the truth of the world behind the veil. What's the veil? All of our investment in the words and the thoughts that keep us from seeing the truth.
Right, and it also talks about that the dream becomes the happy dream. But I think as long as we're at the level of the world, it's still a dream, although it becomes, I think the Course also says it becomes a perfect reflection of heaven. It's not heaven, but it becomes a perfect reflection of heaven because there's nothing, like you said, no veil, no filter, no anything to obscure the truth any longer.
Right. But now you're just using words to talk about the concept that words don't have any value. So.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's what she starts out in this chapter saying, like, until there's words, you put names on something, those things don't exist. I mean, it's how we create. We name something and we say that's it. And it's like, no, that's just a name you put on it. That's not what it is. And so, but that's where like all the fear comes from. I mean, because we create who we think we are, and then we're unsafe, because there are things other than what we are and things that could attack us. And so this idea of just living in this total, completely, without a doubt, safety of a free flow and never knowing what is coming in the next moment, but feeling so safe and secure that you can just let go of everything and go for the ride. Like, that is so appealing. And that's what I feel like she's really opening me up to, like this desire. I just feel this desire welling up in me for this kind of life. And so I just really want to recommend the book to you because I know I'm getting a lot out of it.
And it's a mind awake to itself?
A mind at home with itself.
At home with itself? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the recommendation and your thoughts on it. And, of course, that first line of what you read is really at the core of what Way of Mastery and Course in Miracles is trying to get us to see. That as soon as we think we are something, we create the instantaneous fear that it might be destroyed.
Yes.
And this is an ancient spiritual truth. Guy Finley talks about it. He says, you have to start to understand how crazy it is that you think you'll be happy when you get this or that or that or that, whether it's a car or a relationship or enough money, etc. And you have to understand how insane that is, because that would mean that the thing that you believe is going to be responsible for your happiness, the instant you get it engenders fear in you that you might lose it, and with it your happiness. Mm-hmm. It can't possibly work that way. And we, with this conscious logical mind, especially the Western mind that think, that we're so logical, we ignore the flaw in the logic that's right there at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that she talks about in the very beginning of this writing that you read to us. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, she says, the world teaches us, or seems to teach us, that we need to get, and it's really just the opposite. Let go, let go, let go, let go. Lose. People think they just need to detach from, loved ones and material objects. She says, no, you have to lose everything. Because if you think about it, if you're attached to anything, you can't be in that free flow. Because it's like I saw a cartoon once it was like an undersea scene, and there was a fish clinging, like you could see the current, of the water, and then there's a fish clinging to a rock. He's afraid to let go of the rock. And that's exactly what this reminds me of. It's like anything that we cling to takes us out of the flow.
Yeah,
it's just a perfect joy and happiness.
There's a song titled "God is a River," and the lyrics are exactly about that picture you saw, that cartoon.
Yeah. So that was all I wanted to share.
Well, thank you for that. And that's a Peter Mayer song, and it says, "God is a river, not a stone." Right. So that fish clinging to the stone at the bottom of the river, that's basically the lyrics of that song. It's a beautiful song.
Now, is that the same guy who wrote Holy Now?
Yes.
Okay,
and
I thought I recognized him.
And the song "My Soul" and several others that are just very well crafted lyrics, in my opinion. So, any other comments or questions?
No,
or thoughts
that was
from
it.
you? All right. Well, thank you for the call and the recommendation of the book. I will look into that book. We have 18 or 19 minutes left, and we have plenty of time to talk. Nobody in the chat room. We had one person who left rather abruptly, and we've got 6 callers. So how can we support you? 563-999-3581. Today is a Thursday. There'll be a support group tonight. We've got a long weekend coming up for a lot of people. And so let us know how we can be of assistance. What's a topic, a question, an author you'd like to recommend, like Ellen just did, or a book from a specific author. I will not only attempt to read the book if it's at all relevant to the work we're doing here, but I will also venture as far as to invite that author for a conversation. Depending upon who he or she is and whether or not they're willing, we might actually have on the Journey Stream On Your Mind podcast or the Mind Shifters radio show a guest interviewee based on your recommendations. And again, you can call us now and make those recommendations at 563-999-3581, or you can send me an email at tjh@mindshiftersacademy.org. So what's on your mind? How might we support you? What's something you've been reading or hearing that I was talking about, that the level of honesty that is so critical, and how even yesterday I had yet another opportunity to watch some part of my mind that might have jumped into defensiveness. And the solution to defensiveness is acceptance, is allowance and surrender. When I'm in acceptance and allowance and surrender, defensiveness is not possible. So the antidote to defensiveness is allowance and surrender. Acceptance, allowance, and surrender. And it's not a coincidence that those are 3 of the key aspects that Way of Mastery calls the keys to the kingdom. One of the things that Guy Finley has woven into some of his talks is the idea that as human beings, as these spiritual beings having a physical experience, we have the ability to look at what's happening in our lives, these interactions we have with other beings of brilliance and light, as though it's a game or a contest, and we get to choose who we want on our team or whose team we want to be on. And he goes on to say that the creator of this whole process didn't just put us on the planet where if we work hard enough and if we, go to some Himalayan mountain retreat or put up with bad food in an ashram and people stealing our meditation pillow, and what if we do that kind of seminar attendance long enough, we'll eventually stumble across somebody who can give us some answers. He says that the Creator put you in this existence with an instant, constant connection to the wisdom, to the source, to the power behind the principles that will never abandon you if you just ask to be taught. If you make yourself subordinate to whatever can teach you, you will be in constant connection to the most powerful and insightful and piercing teacher you could ever have. That's the flow of life itself. It's that more profoundly, deeply, more quickly, more consistently through my life is for me to keep choosing moment to moment to have my intention focused on this desire of creation, to allow whatever happens and surrender to it, and continually recognize we're all in this together. In that process, I want to be making plenty of space in my life, day in and day out, to notice, to train myself to pick up on the earliest warning signs of tension, of judgment, of negativity in my emotions or negativity in my thoughts. And that's exactly the kind of thing that's improved my interactions with people by leaps and bounds over the past 17, 25 years, however you want to measure this. I've been picking up little tips and tricks and techniques that all help me do that one thing for a lot of years now. And I have to repeat that if I hadn't had that kind of practice with those tools and awarenesses, then my call yesterday would have been very, very different. And when somebody tried to alert me to the fact that they heard, they felt, they saw in my presentation or my tone of voice some emotional charge, if I had gotten in the least bit defensive, the entire conversation would have gone in a very different direction. And when I allow that anybody who's observing me from the outside might very well be able to see and experience something that I don't have access within me, I open the possibility. It's not an instant thing. It doesn't automatically happen. Sometimes my Course in Miracles says, we must learn to understand the distorting power of the way we want things to be. So sometimes my desire to have certain things have a certain outcome will continue to distort my perception even as I'm trying to move into allowance and surrender. Even as I'm trying to release the resistance. So, if I catch that I have a tension, that's one indication. I can do the process, take a breath, turn inside, and ask, how am I creating this tension? How might I be triggered right now? How might I be focused on a goal that isn't getting met, and that goal is connected energetically to some negative emotions from my past? So I could do that exploration. But I can also be willing to use any input from an outside source as a supplement to that internal awareness. It's an extra bonus if I have chosen to align myself with friends or business associates that I feel I can trust, and then I can more comfortably follow their cues and integrate their feedback. And it is well worth the effort, in my humble opinion. And even yesterday morning, it served me quite well yet again. So that deeper and deeper levels of profound personal honesty, which for me means my willingness to identify any fear that I have about what's coming up in me or what I might be blocking from coming up into awareness, and just being gentle with myself and reassuring myself that it is safe for me to see anything that's in my consciousness. It's safe for others around me for me to see anything that's in my consciousness. And that the only way for me to move forward is to gradually, if I can't do it instantaneously, to gradually increase my willingness to see everything about my consciousness, to rest in the admonition from Guy Finley, who says there is no such thing as bad self-knowledge. It's not possible for you to discover a bad fact about yourself. So, gradually increasing my willingness to see and feel everything that's in my consciousness. Again, Paramahansa Yogananda would say, there is no such thing as the unconscious. There is just your consciousness, and there are the life experiences you've had, and there are the thoughts and emotions about that you've experienced. And some of it you're willing to see, and that's what is in the conscious and the subconscious, as Michael Ryce talks about it. Subconscious are all of those things in my consciousness that I'm willing to see, but I'm just not thinking about them right now. You know, the first girl I ever kissed in high school. Well, until I mentioned that, because I was looking for something that I wouldn't have been thinking about 2 seconds ago, I haven't been thinking about that girl, her name, what she looked like, where, you know, what the high school halls were like. But that's in the subconscious. It's there in my consciousness, and it will come easily and instantaneously into my awareness when it's triggered into activity. Michael Ryce then says, you know, here's this part of my conscious that I'm not willing to look at. That's called the unconscious. It's hidden. It's blocked. And the way I talk about that is it's blocked by my own mind energy that is hiding it from me, that's resisting letting it come into consciousness. And Paramahansa Yogananda would say that's just part of my consciousness, and there's part that I'm willing to look at and part that I'm not willing to look at. The part I'm not willing to look at has been called by some the unconscious. And what we're looking to do, what I'm most often looking to do in this work, my own personal work, is gradually increase my willingness to see, feel, and deal directly with everything that's in my consciousness. And the more I can do that without identifying with it, as Ellen was talking about and reading from the book by Byron Katie, the more I can experience it without identifying with it, without holding on to it or claiming it as an identity, the more functional that is, the more productive I can be, and the more I can move fluidly into loving interaction between myself and the beings of brilliance and light that I'm sharing this journey with. So, we have about 2 or 3 minutes left. If anybody has a comment or a question, 563-999-3581. Just call that number and press 1, or stick around and hopefully Michael and or Jeannie will be here. Jeannie's not on the switchboard yet, but there will be another hour or some portion of time. Sometimes the full hour isn't taken in the second hour of these shows these days, but if you have a comment or a question, email Jeannie at jeanie@yagain.org or email me at tjh@mindshiftersacademy.org or call in directly during the show time, 563-999-3581, and press 1. I was also going to mention that in the realm of podcasts, there's another podcast that I've been doing some keeping up with, and that is the We Can Do Hard Things with Glennon Doyle. And there are a variety of topics in that podcast. One of them that's somewhat on target for these kinds of things is one on self-care and one on boundaries. And very bright women who have been working diligently to struggle with critical questions related to relationship and life. And that's wherever you get podcasts. 2 podcasts worth listening to. Tell Me Something True with Laura McGowan, or We Can Do Hard Things with Glennon Doyle. And that's another thing. If you're listening to a podcast that you really like and find is feeding you, we'd be happy to entertain those suggestions. There's one that I haven't checked out yet, but I intend to. It's with Brene Brown, because she is an author that I have enjoyed several of her papers and her TED Talks and some of the interviews I've heard with her. So, Unlocking Us with Brene Brown is another podcast that might be worth a listen. So we have about 2 minutes left, but we do not have any sight or sound of Jeannie or Michael, so we will just hope that we hear from one of them soon, and or that somebody raises a hand and gives us a heads up about a topic they would like to explore in the next hour. I had somebody else recently who wanted to read Dr. Michael Ryce's book, but they didn't really want to download it off the internet, and they did have success going to Amazon and finding a used copy. So this book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, is available, even though it's out of print, often through Amazon, and I can't really type and talk at the same time, so excuse the silence. And it is most of the time when I go there, Here's one. Here's a copy that's available for $13. And new and used, there are 46 of them used from $2.72 and on. So one of the books that is the highly recommended is the Why Is This Happening to Me Again book. And we have Jeannie Ryce on the call. Welcome, Jeannie.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Appreciate it.
So I'll just remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Have a great show.
Thank you.